there's another guy out there, and I never remember his name, but the original drummer for the Pretty Reckless.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I could look it up.
Right.
But the groove that guy had in all of the, and if you don't know who the Pretty Reckless are, do yourself a favor and look them up, because absolutely some of the best music that's been put out in the past 10 years.
So we're up to 5.
We're up to 5. I don't know if I'm going to get to 10.
Okay.
But Ian Keltner, jazz drummer.
Okay.
Keltner. I don't remember if his first name's Ian, but Keltner, the jazz drummer, who he's done all sorts of stuff, Sheffield Labs level things, right? Sheffield Labs is a group that does recordings that the aim of the recording is to show how well they can record stuff, and they just bring in extraordinary people to do the music for that. Keltner did a whole bunch of stuff. He's just absolutely mind-boggling how good he is. And I'm, you know who I'm saving for last. You know who I'm saving for last, obviously. But there's so many people out there that are like underappreciated because they what they do is so good it becomes transparent. You don't notice it. So
Nico McBrain.
Nico McBrain is the more time you spend trying to extract what he's doing from the wall of sound that sometimes it could be.
For Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden, exactly. Is some of the stuff that he does, and part of what's extraordinary about him is the amount of equipment that he has. It's just like
his kit is as big as.
It's like this side of the room. It's the whole thing, and he does the runs that have like 12 toms as he goes through it all, and just listen to the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner and tell me what you think.
Well, my favorite from him is the Where Eagles Dare. The riff at the beginning is all drum.
Yes. And in that same note, and I hope you're counting, but Alex Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
You know, underrated, underappreciated.
Sure.
Just try and do the shit that he does, and just wow.
I would also say the same thing about Michael Anthony.
Yes.
As a bass player.
Yes.
He's not
that rhythm section, right?
For sure.
Period. And then Gerry Mercer, April Wine.
Okay.
Some of the stuff that he did was just incredible, especially when you consider that he was at least 20 years older than everybody else in the back. And he's still popping around. He's got to be in his late 80s, and he still plays. He's incredible. But you know who the king is.
Lars, you're going to say Lars Ulrich?
Absolutely not.
Neil Peart?
Neil Peart.
Okay.
Neil Peart was the epitome of the drums being the equal partner in the song.
Oh yeah.
And part of that was also because he wrote most of the songs, but then the stuff that he did, and if you listen to what he did in the early career, which is very technical, very pristine, clean, technical, always does exactly the same thing. And then as he moves through the period of his life where he lost his wife, lost his daughter, went on an 18-month motorcycle trip just to clear his head and when he came back started taking drum lessons again and learned how to make his drumming more musical. And if you listen to the later stuff from Rush and how musical it became, as well as being as technical as it was at the beginning, it's just extraordinary what he accomplished on the drums. And luckily I got to see him live when they did their...
I've seen Rush a couple of times.
Yeah, I only saw them once when they did the 40th anniversary tour, which was actually on their 41st year, but that was the running gag.
I saw him once in Montreal, I saw him once in Ottawa, and I always prefer seeing shows in Montreal because the crowds are always so much better.
Yeah, the crowds are very...
you know, one guy that doesn't get enough credit is Phil Rudd from AC/DC.
I was going to bring him up.
Yeah, because
yeah.
I remember I used to have Mike's drum kit at my house, and I tried to play along to You Shook Me All Night Long. That's an incredibly hard song to play on the drums. Yeah. It doesn't sound like much, and then Back in Black, that whole album, Back in Black. I think
the whole album.
Angus is phenomenal. Angus is my hero. He's a guitar hero for sure.
But Cliff Williams, Malcolm Young, and Phil Rudd on the drums with the three of them in the back. You got the one on one side of the drum, you got the one on the other side, you got Phil Rudd with the cigarette sticking out of his mouth, and he's just playing. The rhythm section those guys laid down, and the groove that they did. If I know everybody talks about AC/3 chord rock, it's always the same. Like one interviewer once said to Angus Young, "What do you feel when people tell you that you've recorded 13 times the same album?" And he paused for a second and answered back, and I tell him it's not true. It's 14 times the same album.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're one of the most successful rock bands in the history of the world.
But it's just everybody says that, but to see somebody live that can actually reproduce the music, like for Riff Raff,
yes,
is an incredibly hard song to play.
Bad Boy Boogie,
Back in Black,
the whole album. Because because what you find with Rudd, especially on the Back in Black album, and a large part on For Those About to Rock, is that it's about how he uses the cymbals. He's laying down this beat that's just incredible and never varies. And I know, a recording studio can do a lot of stuff, but this shit was recorded in the 80s. There was nothing digital.
The 70s.
There was nothing digital.
They don't have quantized.
They didn't have quantize. This was real. And I've seen them play live, so I know that it's no bullshit.
I've seen
but it's the as a drummer, you learn to use your right hand to do a lot of the cymbal hits because your left hand is doing the snare, which is keeping the time. But what Rudd does all through Back in Black is that he's going, and then he's hitting something with the left hand while his right hand is doing something else. So he's constantly going back and forth while maintaining that just incredible groove. And if you listen to it carefully, oh man, it's so good. And I think we both agree on that.
And Thunderstruck. Anybody that can play Thunderstruck to me is a god.
But that wasn't Rudd.
I know
that was the other guy. I never remember his name.
The other guy. The bald guy.
Yeah, the bald guy.
And on Highway to Hell, Beating Around the Bush.
Yes.
That song that's got to be like 140, 150 beats per minute. It's so fast.
But the whole album, when you listen to Night Power, and you listen to
my AC/DC Highway to Hell is one of my favorite albums. But I like Highway to Hell better than Black and Black, but both Back in Black
and Powerage.
If
you want to get the ultimate
I love Powerage. That's what Riff Raff
just on. When AC/DC was transitioning from more blues style rock to a little bit of a heavier feel before they did Whole Lot of Rosie and all that kind of stuff and moved into something a little rockier. Powerage is, like many AC/DC fans would tell you, that Powerage is their favorite album.
Yeah,
Sin City.
Oh, yes. Down Payment Blues.
Yeah. The groove in Down Payment Blues.
And then, since we're talking about drummers, one of my favorites is Frank Beard from ZZ Top, especially old ZZ Top before Eliminator, like the Sharp Dressed Man, and Give Me All Your Love.
The album of which we don't speak. Right?
That was the most commercial. They're great songs. I love them, but to me, ZZ Top was the best one from Deguelo back. So Deguelo, Tres Hombres, Tay Jazz.
Very blues.
Yeah, love blues oriented,
and just. And it's the groove and how solid that backing was with three guys.
Yeah, and talk about three guys. The Jimi Hendrix Experience. The drummer Mitch Mitchell. And the bass Noel Redding. Was it? I always mix them up. Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell were the rhythm section. One is the bass player. One is the drummer. I
don't even remember which one is which. But listen,
they were able to play with Jimi Hendrix. So
if you listen to a Jimi Hendrix song and stop listening, well, don't stop, but pay a little bit less attention to his singing and his guitar playing and listen to the bass and the drums behind him, and it's
fire.
I can't reproduce it on the drum. I'm not that good a drummer, but I can't reproduce it on the drum. It's fucking crazy.
Well, and the other drummer that we should is not a rock drummer, Charlie Rich,
Buddy Rich, which is he was the first one to make drumming into that superstar mode, and the drummer known for himself and not for being part of a band. And he used to do some incredible stuff. Go find some of the old Johnny Carson shows when he would go on and just do solos for 7 minutes.
Is a pretty good drummer.
Very good drummer, absolutely.
Pretty impressive.
He's a very good drummer.
Sammy Davis Jr. I've seen some
He did some good stuff too, with one eye and two.
Yeah, Roy Clark, guitar player. You want to talk about a fantastic guitar player? Roy Clark is a genius guitar player. Same with Glenn Campbell. They're country guys, but they should get so much more respect than they do.
Agreed.
They're fantastic. And Brad Paisley, I like a lot of country. I can't say I'm a country guy, but I listen to a lot of country, and I love Brad Paisley, Alan Jackson, the other guys I mentioned. So there's a lot of great.
Chris Stapleton.
Oh yeah, Chris Stapleton.
Love the voice on Chris Stapleton.
And Luke Combs.
Yep. So we've digressed again, but
we always do. Like,
but we always do.
I've known Mike since what, grade 2, grade 3, something like that.
I think we are. I think this year in September will be 50 years we've known each other.
Fuck, I've known you longer than I've known my wife.
You have, because she was too young when we first met. Exactly.
I've been married for 31 years to the same woman. So.
So yeah, so I mean, but when you're passionate about music and when you've become a bit of a musician, enough to understand the interplay between the instruments and the egos and the personas that go along with
that's
things.
what I hate about musicians is
right?
the egos and the personas. That's why I like Dave Grohl, because I think if we invited Dave Grohl to come play with us,
I think we would have a great time.
We'd have a great time. He'd crack open
Here,
a beer,
Dave, here's a beer.
Probably light up a joint and leave us.
There you go.
And he'd play with us even though we're nothing. But
Dave, do you want to play the guitar and sing, or do you want to play the drums?
I bet you can.
Everybody that's watching this, you realize that Dave Grohl started his career and became famous for being the drummer for which band? Nirvana. And then when he started his own band, he hired another guy to play the drums, and he played the guitar and sang. It's just.
And the other guy that he hired actually was a drummer for Alanis Morissette at one point.
Yes, who recorded one of the best selling albums in the history of music. Canadian, by the way.
Yeah, she's Canadian American. If you look her up on Wikipedia, which pisses me off, they call her Canadian American, so I guess she got an American citizenship. I don't understand.
But she was born in Toronto.
She was actually lived in Ottawa for many years, which is where I live. I've lived in Ottawa for 24 years now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we try not to hold that against you, but that's okay.
Whatever you want to say, I love the city.
Yep.
It's a weird dynamic with all the civil service.
Government town.
Yeah, government town, but
but lots of good bars. We've
the music scene in Ottawa is
a lot better than here.
Oh, it's fantastic.
We keep on. I could keep on going to Ottawa to play with him in Ottawa because that's where the music scene is.
I know so many musicians there, and the bars are amazing. It's a small town. If you ever want to come to see some great live music, the Rainbow Bistro, which is a blues bar. I've seen some great acts there. I've played at the live stage that they have open mic on Sundays. I've done that a few times.
We did the Brass Monkey a few times.
Brass Monkeys are great. They used to have an open mic at the Brass Monkey. Yngwie Malmsteen played at Brass Monkey just a couple months ago. So it's a small basement bar, but in the middle of nowhere. It's in total suburbia, and Yngwie Malmsteen played. So.
Imagine.
Yeah. But anyways, it's...
So another band that I find that you need to check out is Dirty Honey.
He's got all these new bands I don't know anything about.
The drummer in Dirty Honey is a huge, hulking guy with massive hair. Wow. It's been fun talking to you about this stuff there, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. Well, see you next time on the In Tune Guitar Academy. Thanks for joining us.